got a jigsaw puzzle. So, customer is rebuilding his Range Rover Classic, and really wants me. He's had all this lot. He's stripped it all down. He's had it all powder coated, welded it all up, and now kind of like got to a bit of a loose end really when it came to reassembling it. So I have got here, hopefully, the makings of 2 complete axles. And really, I wanted to go through all of these boxes, assess what I've got, assess what I need to get in order to build these 2 back up again, and then get them ready for him to come and collect up, bolt onto his chassis, and move on. So, right, I'm not going to bother undoing the axle casings because obviously I've got 2 stripped down axle casings, and I've got 2 hockey sticks, 2 swivel housings, 2 differential casings, drive shafts mainly by the looks of things, and there's a few hubs in there. We'll have a quick look in a second, see what's in there. And then in this box, a world of stuff. We have got here wheel bearings and a bag of rusty bolts. So they're going to be shit as well. Now, one thing that worries me here is if he's had the hubs powder coated but left the seats for the hubs in the axle, then he's not going to really have helped that situation. And also we don't know which bag is going to be for which hub. Oh, there's a load of drill bits in here. Look, I've won some drill bits. This is just a bag of bolts and nuts. I don't need any of this stuff in here. There's the alarm horn from a late Range Rover, so I'll pop this lot over here. A pair of very rusty, these are the brackets that the top swivel pin would go through. We're going to need those. They look a little bit too far gone. That's front swivel. There's another bag here. This looks like differential parts in here. Oh, stub axle. Oh, a usable stub axle. Ignore the surface rust. We can soon sort that out. Front stub axle. That'll work. Oh. Swivel ball. Fucked. Yeah, that's no good at all. Swivel ball's no good. Right, here we have got a differential in component form. Yeah. Old hoses, ABS sensors, front swivel pins. That's good. Hose can go. Don't need that. The rest of it can go in the front axle box. Oh, it does look new actually. Reasonably new. I wouldn't use it. I think diffs I'm going to look at in a minute. I want to see what we've got first and foremost on these 2 swivel housings. So let's do that. We can get them loosely assembled. We can work out then what's missing. So I think fair to say, what I'll do is I'll separate the bits out that are swivel related and the bits that aren't swivel related. So I've got diffs off the bench, nuts and bolts that aren't swivel related off the bench. We've got 2 stub axles. We haven't got the back stub axles for those things that I've been able to find yet. I'm going to cut these bags open. I can't be arsed with it. So we have got here a swivel ball. No, that's a shame, isn't it? It's a 7-bolt swivel ball. It's just got a bit knackered there. I mean, the trouble with that is it will affect the sweep seal. It's done it on that side as well, so someone's actually put grips or something around it, so that might be fucked. This one is certainly fucked. So that's an ashtray for someone. That's an ashtray for someone. Stub axles. Front. It's alright. That might work. This one might recover. I'll clean all the surface rust up, don't worry about that. That looks alright. Front. Good. We've got the 2 swivel housings, complete with the brake back plate brackets. They are ABS type because they've got the big hole at the top. Going to need to chase all of these holes out. It's powder coating all of the threaded holes. If you guys are doing this, then like they've done with that, they've put the bump stop is in there. But what's happened is they've done a beautiful job, you see, of masking up the back face there where the sweep seal and everything goes. But then the powder coated over all of the bolts. So these are going to be bastards to get out. We'll see. We might have a bit of a struggle with that. And also, the surface rust on here, I wouldn't worry about. That will soon clean up. That's alright, we'll soon get that one sorted. Rubbish down there. So 1 swivel housing, rubbish. ABS sensitive top pins. Well, the ABS sensors are fucked. The one is anyway. Top pins might be serviceable, I couldn't tell you. We'll get all this little part in a minute. Nothing for the back axle at all yet. Then the other swivel housing, again, powder coat central. All of the threaded holes powder coated up. It does make life a little bit difficult, but we can get over it. We can get past it. Right, there's that one. And then I've got a box with 4 hubs in it. 4 complete hubs. Not powder coated. Everything else has been. Right, now, what else have we got here in this bag? So we've got the 2 CV joints. These need to come off. So basically the CV joint comes off with a mallet. So normally, something come off. It's stuck on. They normally come off. It's safe to say some ham-fisted gibbon's been in there. Well, that was off. That's the front drive shaft and the CV joints. What holds them on, by the way, there's a clip here. You see that clip's broken. There's there's a clip there on the end that holds them in place. Don't lose the spacer. Spacers, you need that. Now this one feels extraordinarily floppy for now. I'll just see if we can get it off. Interesting that it's missing the spacer. So it might be that it's gone on too far because the spacer's not there. Oh, fuck's sake. Get that off in a minute. I think this is the problem we're going to find as we go through this. None of this is the customer's fault, by the way. This is all kind of like as he took it apart and just bagged it. Oh, look, we have got one drive plate, one output flange, one dead wheel bearing, one very dead swivel bearing, spacers, shims. Yeah. I think at this stage, keeping it in separate bags probably, there's no value in it at all. Because it looks like I'm going to end up replacing the bearings, seals, pretty much everything else that's in here. So we've got two drive plates, which is good. We've got spacers, which is good. Lock tabs, I'll just replace them. Shims. Bearings are going to be scrap. Scrap. These chaps, by the way, they go on the end of the drive shaft underneath the little rubber cup, and that's what holds them in. I'll lob a lot of this stuff in the tumbling vibrator. Let's see if it tightens anything up. Oh, you know you were, Philip, you know you were looking for your angle grinder lock wheel. There it is. And then a whole load of bolts. That's going to be scrap. Anything that's nylock, it's going to be scrap. There's no point dealing with any of it. We'll replace it. Right, that lot all looks like front axles. Now we're missing a not insignificant number of parts here. The brass kind of like ring off the other of the stub axles, but then I'm kind of cleaning up and thinking, really? What the fuck? Those teeth, sorry, those mice have got really fucking sharp teeth, haven't they? And this one the same. So I'm inclined to replace both of these stub axles as well, because I know this is the scrap one anyway, but someone got really fucking cross with this, didn't they? Look at it. That's the bottom bearing in the swivel housing. So, what the fuck? Yeah, someone got quite cross with that. Scrap. Plugs I'm really worried about here. That one needs to come out. That's your drain plug. That one needs to come out. It's your fill plug. That one needs to be loose because it's the that's the bolt for the adjustment. And you can see it's got powder coat all over the end of it. And then I'm going to need to chase the threads out through the brake holes, get that off there, I need the bracket, I don't need the bolt. So some of this stuff I might just have to get busy with an angle grinder on, which is not ideal, is it? Now, 3/4, the 3/4 or 17, 3/4 will do it. Will it undo? Yes. Oh, very warm. It's out. It's out, which is good. We might need to do the same thing with this, but this should be relatively straightforward. I'm being careful of the customer's powder coat, by the way. That face down there, it's got nothing on it. 7/16, I think. Nope. 12. Is a loose fit. See if we can get it off. I'm not going to bother with the bottom pins. I'm going to have to take some of this off up here. That came out, that's good. So that one's out. And does that washer come off? Because it wants to. The copper washer, but there he is. He's off. He's off. Don't worry about that one. I never worry about that one, but actually a level sensor, isn't it? Right. That one I don't know what I'm going to do about yet. Let's get the fill plug out, and I'm going to have to see if I can clean these up, because that really doesn't want powder coat all over the thread anyway. We need to be able to wind it in and out. Just what happens. So that can go over there. That can go over there. It's probably been shouting about that for weeks. Right, 13. Let's see if it does it. Where's my mallet gone? Timmy? There we are. That was just awful, Richard. No need for that at all. Nope. Half inch. I've got a square drive somewhere. Nope. Right. Just released its grip there, just by clamp, because I'm going to have to replace the plug anyway. Just by gripping it in the vise, and then back in turning it and putting my entire weight on it, I got it to move. There we are. Right, that's out. Might be able to clean it up, we might not. Not a lot of cop if you can't get the fill plug out, is it? No. Fine. Now, the other thing I just noticed while I was doing all this, and this is a really bad idea, they've powder coated inside the tapered holes here for the steering, which I think is an exceptionally poor idea. Certainly not something I would recommend. Just taking the rest of dead oil out of there. So that's going to need to come out. Should really have had a bung in that. So I think, yeah. Next, I'm going to have to look and find out what threads we've got on this. I can measure the thread there. That's an easy enough one. Because they changed the threads throughout the bloody production, really. They've got, so that one should go in there. Yeah, it's all a bit of a, right, okay, so let's get busy with Mr. Zippy next. I think we're going to see if we can clean that up. Otherwise, I'm just going to be buying new bits. Still not done the CV joints like I promised I was going to. Oh, we've got more joy. Right, so basically been through, squeaky McSqueakface, drilled pretty much, cleaned every single one of these threads. These are all the M10 by 1.5, all beautiful. Bolt goes in. Once the bolt is fully in, which it is there, it's nice and solid. So, okay, keep working our way around. Yeah, looking good. Bear in mind the bolts haven't been cleaned. Beautiful. And then we go to the last of the bolts. It's always the last one. Now, believe it or not, it's yes. So we want something that's a bit bigger than M10. So we have to find out what fucking size they've tapped it to. So it's M10, not 3/8. Well, there's no such thing as 25/64. I think it's not big enough for 7/16. So if I use my drills now, so what we'll do is we'll get a drill, get a 10mm drill. That sort of just goes in. Which is suggesting that it should be an M10, but it's not, very clearly not, because I can put the shank of the drill bit into the hole, and I can't on that. So it's been drilled out. I'm going to have to go for M11 or M12, I think. It's just why? Why do people fuck around with these things? Because, yeah, don't work, does work. I thought the tap was going through it quite easily. Well, it wasn't really doing anything at all, was it? Let's face it. So I either need to cut this to the next size up, or tell the customer he's been wasting his fucking money powder coating him. Let's get me metric bolts down. Right, okie dokie, what have we got here? We've got an M, so that'll be an M10. Is. I haven't got a lot in it, it's much bigger than that. I've got that one, which is a monster. That's M12. It's definitely not M12 because that didn't go in. Oh, no, that didn't go in. What's that one? That's not an M12, that's an M11. Is that going to go in? I haven't got a tap for an M11. What the fuck? So M11 is thinking about it. M11 is not far off 7/16. I've got a 7/16 UNC. It's definitely a coarse thread. Have I got a 7/16 UNC? What a pain in the balls, right? What a pain. Oh my god. This is my great big box of bolts, and there's all manner of stuff in here. So that's going to be a brake caliper bolt, but I think that the thread is too fine for this hole. I'll tell you what I've probably got is I've probably got a 7/16 UNC tap. Where's my 7/16 UNC goes in there, then we know, don't we? Half. 716 UNC, UNF. Let's try UNF first. By Jove. Just check I haven't got a metric. No, it jumps from M10 to M12, which is as I would expect it. I think it's going to end up being a 7/16 UNF on this one. It's got to be a hole, unfortunately, otherwise, so that is going in. Not with enormous amounts of force, so someone's recut it for 7/16. Oh, what a pain. What a pain in the fucking hole. Let's see what that's doing. I mean, bearing in mind it's supposed to be M10, and an 11mm thread is going in there and tidying that up. It's not cutting it, it's just tidying it. So someone has been in here. I put a 7/16, but at least we can remedy the situation. Well, with regards to this bolt we can. I will almost certainly have a 7/16 UNF. We haven't cut right the way through it, that's the problem here. So we are through. So now we're cutting. Now we've cut. It just went through. And that has, I think, cut right the way through there. But someone's obviously had a ball's ache and a seized up bolt. I just drilled it up to the next size. It happens. Definitely happens. (7/16 UNF). I've got some 7/16 UNFs up here, look. And it is a BY, I don't know what that is. Right, that's gone through. Cleaned it initially, cut it afterwards. Didn't cut much though, did it? Right, okay. Does that go in there? Yes, it does. Right, okay. We inch forwards. So most of them are M10, apart from one, which is 7/16 UNF. Hope you're keeping up with this. Told you it was a jigsaw. Right, one CV joint apart. Let's see what the wear is like. So I've got the cage. First of all, just sprayed it with my standard degreaser. It's looking quite worn. It wasn't that loose, but it is showing signs of life. I won't worry about too much about the balls because it's this that I really want to look at. You see there's quite a big wear mark there. You see that? Now, honestly, I could hide my sandwiches in that groove. So I'm going to say that this has reached the end of its life. Without road testing, you can see the big groove there. And you can see a groove going up and down. You can also see that groove there. That would knock like a good one, that one. So that one's an ex-CV joint, and we could further check really on the inside of the cup. We can look at the wear inside here as well, and we're seeing extensive wear really where the ball has been running, where the cage has been rubbing, because the balls have got too much slop in them, then the cage is touching the sides of the cup. So I'm going to say that that is an ex-CV joint drive shaft. So we're going to need to get another one of those. What make was this one? Was it a Coke 5000? pretty much all that is available at the moment, I'm afraid. Hokey 5000s. It's been hardened, so I just think it's done a lot of miles. It might have run dry, we don't know, but it's certainly got to a point where it's said enough. Now, what I'm going to need to do next is I'm going to need to get the other one off the shaft. So let's have a laugh doing that. On the shaft, you've got this spacer, and that space is needed for the ABS. There's quite a lot of grit in there, but then this has been kicking around in boxes. So I need to get another ring, sealing ring. There's an enormous amount of grit in here, lumps of metal. So something might have grenaded on this in a fairly elaborate way. Yes. Just double checking the splines on this thing. Fuck my boots. Look at that. That's a beauty. God knows what's happened there. That is... Have you ever seen anything like that? I think we might be looking at another pair of drive shafts here, chap. That is just... I wouldn't know how that's happened. I bet it made a lot of noise though. Oh fuck's sake. It's a jigsaw that is growing. I mean, basically when it comes to drive shafts, it's really, we're looking at used old stock. I have to make... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Short front drive shaft. Now, we'll look at the long drive shaft neck, which is the one that's troubling me. And what we've basically got, we've got the same situation, except that this CV joint is super wobbly and also got an enormous amount of play in it. So I suspect this CV joint is utterly fucked. Now, I can't get it off the slip ring on the end there. So I think what I'm probably going to end up having to do here, tug the fucker off. Oh, I fucking come off. Right, there's the slip ring. It's in there. For some reason that was wedged on there very tight, as you can see. They're not normally that tight. I could probably salvage that spacer for this drive shaft. This drive shaft is looking in better shape. I mean, the key things really that I'm looking for with these, making sure there's no nasty ridges along here. There aren't. They're all in good order. And at this end, where the splines, where the CV joint fits on, really just making sure that that's all in good order. As you've seen, this one, I mean that, I couldn't tell you what's happened. That really has picked up on something, hasn't it? And that's got so hot, it's actually melted the steel and moved it over here. So fuck knows what's happened. Interesting. Right, what we need to do also is we're going to have to look at the... Well, we're going to replace the swivels anyway, aren't we? And I'm probably going to replace the CV joints as well. Well, certainly replacing the CV joints. I'm probably going to replace the... I could put my teeth in, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Probably going to replace the hubs, stub axles. I knew there was a word in there somewhere. I was desperately trying to get it out. For now. Okay, let's pop this one. Anyone want any balls? Marbles, anyone? There you go. Scrap bag. Where's that? Down there. That can all go down there because that is just fucked. Now I'm expecting this one to be slightly worse, I'll be honest. So, how I get these things apart? Basically, you want to rotate the cage upright and the inner carrier even further. Now that's what I've got this chappy here for, because basically, without giving it too much grief, you can push it right the way around so that the ball is now hanging right out for now. and then pop it all out, and then position the end of your 1/2-inch drive extension in, and bang it around for the next one. Ball out. And the reason I threw the other lot in the scrap bin, by the way, apart from the fact it was fucked, is because I don't want to mix up. If this one ends up being serviceable, then this one will go back together again. I'm somehow suspecting not. That one's out. And that one is out. 2 more. Trouble is, what happens now is the thing starts to fall apart, you see, and you can get yourself into a situation where it all gets wedged up. Having got all the balls out, you're then looking for now. What you're then looking for is the 2 wide slots. In fact, these are all the same size. That's weird, isn't it? But basically, you want the internal, the inner part of the CV joint, the spider, whatever you want to call it, needs to fit into one of those, and then you wheel it out like that. And then you stand this upright, get it around to a point where that comes out. All right, that's that. Then we'll give it a little spray, and we'll see if this is fucked too. Oh, joy. So there's no point looking at the balls, because the balls will wear uniformly all over. So all you're really looking at on here is fucked. This was not, well, it's actually just as bad as the other one. It's got grooves in here as well. So we've got the up and down wear, and then we've got the constant straight ahead wear. It's actually worn a slot around. So this would have been sloppy as a dick in a bucket. So both of these CV joints are ruined. Well, they're just end of life. They're not ruined. It could have been because the axles were dry. I don't know. What I do want to do is find out why that drive shaft has done that. Then on the inside of the cage here, you can see how really shiny surfaces where the balls and the spider have been rubbing on the inside of the cage, and you can see where it's been scuffing on the outer cup on the outside of the cage. Now, realistically, they shouldn't be anywhere near each other, but the tolerances are tight. So when they start to wear out, that's it. They say, no more! And then you see scuff marks on the outside where the CV joint has been touching the cage, and that's what kind of that and the balls locking in place is what gives you the click 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 noise. Yep, so that'll be scrap as well then. Mr. Scrap Bin, growing by the second. Right.